on the screen, hey, it's Grant and Ryan. We bleed purple, talking hoops, never lying. Sacramento Kings, we rise and we fall. If you don't like that, then you don't know ball. Jerry sitting with the stories of the game, spilling all the truth, driving legends insane. From the Cow Palace days to Arco's roar, this town's heart beats on the hardwood floor. If you don't like that, turn away now. Kings in our blood, we rise strong and proud. Running up the score, Kings never back down. If you don't like that, this ain't your town.
What now, Kings fans? Mike Brown's tried everything. Started Malik Monk tonight, 42-point first quarter. Then the Spurs outscored the Kings in quarters 2, 3, and 4. Sacramento now is 3 games under 500. They're 4-7 on the home floor. And I hate to be a Debbie Downer during the holidays, but this season is close to being lost. When I look at the schedule, Ryan, this season is really on the brink of a disaster. And I will tell you, if this trend continues and this team does not finish in the top 10 in the West this year, this will be one of the most disappointing seasons in a long, long time for the Sacramento Kings. But right now, how can you have any optimism? Where should you be happy if you're a Kings fan right now? Where do you gain the, oh, it's going to be okay, we're just going through a bad stretch? No, it's not okay.
Yeah, I'm not in disagreement with you about the season if they don't get control of this quick. The optimism for me is the adjustments we saw tonight. It wasn't the adjustment of Malik Monk in the starting lineup only. It was the way the Kings were running their offense. They took the ball out of Domas's hands. They were running much more pick and roll, and they were getting guys that aren't creators to the paint to either make a play or finish a play, and that is sustainable. Now, Grant, what is not sustainable is allowing your opponent to double their free throws for the game 6 minutes into the fourth quarter.
Here's what else is the same problem every single freaking game. Look at the field goal percentage of the other team from both 2 and 3. Explain to me how you are going to get on a sustained run if you can't stop the other team, which how many times have we come on the postgame show this year, Ryan, and talked about the inability to guard the perimeter, the inability to get stops when you need them. I mean, look at the field goal percentage tonight. Where is the improvement there, Ryan? I don't see it.
Grant, this team, there is not much improvement. There's things they've done here and there. The bottom line is, yeah, the percentage is what it is. It's the attempts. You're allowing NBA teams that live in a three-point era to shoot 46 threes tonight.
And make half of them, Ryan. Half of them.
Exactly right. And I get there in a quandary with Wemby. Do you double? Do you not? But Grant, at some point, you just pull out the old 2-3 zone defense.
Well, guess what? That point, it's getting almost too late to at some point. At some point should have been a month ago. At some point should have been last week, 2 weeks ago. You're now 9 and 12. And oh yeah, Houston won. You play them coming up next. Memphis won. I mean, you haven't yet played Boston. You haven't played Cleveland. They're far superior than you. You haven't played Golden State yet. You've only played Oklahoma City once. You haven't played Memphis yet, right? You haven't played Houston yet. You're playing them next. I mean, you haven't even played the best in the league, and you're already 3 games under 500. Like, where's you're a little optimistic with the way they ran their offense tonight. Okay, I would agree with you. I thought it looked better. But guess what, Ryan? They lost. Dead
right. And Grant, at home. That's what I was going to say. You have to see those teams at home, which is supposed to be advantage. Clearly, Golden One Center is a problem at this point.
It's really been a problem since they moved out of Arco. They haven't really had a good season at home, relatively speaking.
Well, the playoff season, but that was a different season. Yeah, it's extremely puzzling.
Even that year, they had a much better road ride. They were better on the road than at home.
That is true. It is a very good point. We want to hear from you guys too. And Grant, before we go to the phones, you can use the QR code on the screen. You can use the link in the chat. We'll put that up in a second. Super chats will get priority because they pop up on our screens. We'll try to get to as many regular chats as we can. Grant, you're Mike Brown. You just went all in You
Yep.
just pulled your trump card that you have not pulled in 2.5 years. What
Yep.
are you thinking right now?
I'm thinking I have a roster that I can't compete with. That's what I'm thinking. That's exactly what I'm thinking. I don't have a good enough bench to coach the way I want, and my defense still sucks. I got to tell you, for the first time this year, after the Portland game, I like what I heard from Mike Brown. He was
Amen.
exasperated, right? It was a
Amen.
different tune. He, for the first time, pretty much was basically saying, "Hey, it's up to the players." You know, he didn't say it in so many words, but reading between the lines, it was like, "Well, I've done what I can do. You know, it's up to the players to." You know, he talked about how they went over this, and then they went over this, and they went over this, referring to shoot around, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we talked about this and we talked about that, but then the guys go out and they don't do it. You know,
And,
that's players.
and Grant, he did the same after practice yesterday.
There are like standards that we have. And if there's 10, 50, 50 balls on the bouncing on the ground, I don't care what game it is, game 1, game 50, game 30, game 82, you can't get 1 per 10. You can't have 13 completely unforced turnovers and think that that's okay.
So the same tune continued from coach. And he did say, I need to do better as well. But what did he do tonight? He called quick timeouts. I'm not going to criticize him for that. And what did you not have in your back pocket at the end of the game, Grant?
You didn't have a timeout when you, first of all, would have really needed it had you gotten the rebound on the last free throw miss for San Antonio when Wemby and the Spurs got the board. But you could have really used the timeout there, but you didn't have one.
Indeed.
But you didn't have the ball anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered.
There you go. Guru, Zach, setting the tone for us tonight. Welcome in.
I'm absolutely sick to my stomach watching this team right now. It's just we can't beat any team that's ahead of us in the standings. We're just playing really bad defense. Sabonis on the switch pretty much lost us the game. I mean, there was about like 20 possessions in that second half where they just got the switch. Chris Paul, whatever he wanted, everyone get out of the way. Victor's going to be on someone that's a foot shorter than him, and he's just cooking us the whole night, 34, 13, 11. That's inexcusable, to be honest. I don't know if that's a Sabonis problem, if that whole defensive strategy of just trapping the paint and just letting the threes open is just to protect Sabonis, or is it just Sabonis just can't play defense and he's a liability? I don't know if it's the strategy we should be focusing on, or is it a Sabonis problem? Because that switch really cost us the entire game. I mean, our offense.
I don't think a three-time All-Star is a liability.
On defense, it looked he if the whole strategy is to protect Sabonis, then he's a liability.
Well, you know, the whole team's a liability on defense.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the players that do play defense on the Kings. It won't take long, but I'll let you give me the answer.
Keon, you got to start it off with that.
Yep.
And I think Fox plays decent defense.
Okay, stop. Okay, so there we go. Hello. All right, so the problem with this team is not just Sabonis' defense. The problem with this team is the entire team concept defense, particularly their perimeter defense. Ryan talked about how they took 46 threes tonight. Ryno also talked about how they made 23 of those. That's 50%. Well, Sabonis isn't responsible for the other team shooting 50% from beyond the arc. He's out there with 4 other guys. Where is the team concept of rotation? Where is the closeout? Where is, Mike Brown after the Portland game was very critical. He said, hey, you know what? How are we going to play better defense? This is basically what he said, when we don't have anyone that can stop the ball. The dribble drive has been going on for years with this team. Dribble penetration has eaten up this Kings team year after year after year. I actually think it may be worse this year than what I've seen in the past. But you can't win in the NBA, guys, and you know this, but you can't win in the NBA if you can't stop dribble penetration. The other team gets to the basket whenever they want against this team.
Yeah, I know Mike Brown is talking about in the post game how they're just not executing their defensive strategy. I don't know, and they're messing up on the rotations. I mean, if he's telling these guys 20 times, 20 games or 21 games, and they're still not getting it, it's a problem. I just don't know if he needs to do a different strategy at this point, or what. because it's
He
becoming a
tried
huge
tonight.
problem.
He tried a different strategy. He tries. Mike Brown's trying everything. He started, right? He
Well, I don't
started
care about the starting. Yeah, the starting is nice that he's changing it up a little bit, but
Jay
it's
Crowder when he had to. Now he's got a full roster for all intents and purposes. I mean, I can't Herter's out, but I mean he was playing horribly. What are you supposed to do if you're the coach right now? At some point, the players have to do their part.
the only thing I could think of also is these guys are playing 40 minutes every game and stuff. Is the
Yeah.
rotation is it they're just getting stamina wise they just can't make it on the defensive rotations because they're tired. I mean, I was looking at some stats of how Fox and Keegan are running. They're like top 2 or 3 in like just how many miles they've
No.
ran on
Okay.
the court.
Guys, here's the problem with the rotations, respectfully. This is the problem with the rotations. Jay Crowder, been a King for a cup of coffee, 11 minutes. Isaac Jones, he's a two-way guy, 19 minutes on the floor. Colby Jones, 7 minutes. You don't have the sustained depth on this roster. Those are the mistakes those guys are supposed to make, and you are relying on them. And you look at also San Antonio, they in the league, guys, they are 25th in three-point percentage at just a little bit over 32%. And then they are 22nd in three-pointers attempted, 35 a game. The problem is you're either doubling or you're leaving somebody open. You're helping too soon or you're not getting out. And Grant, Zach, is it a system thing where it's Mike Brown's system's busted? Or is it I'm not going to adjust my system to the players I have?
Yeah.
It's a fabulous
It's a
question.
question.
Zach, what
It's
do
a
you
question I've been thinking about this whole year. I don't know. I mean, the way Mike Brown talks about it, he's saying the strategy is working in practice, but executing during the game, it's not working.
think? Practice doesn't
They
mean a
haven't
damn
had
thing.
practice. But they haven't had practice.
Yeah,
No,
and not only that, practice doesn't mean anything because the other team knows what you're
No,
doing
I know,
all the
I
time.
know, but I'm just saying that he's been telling these players over and over again, make these rotations,
Yeah.
and they're just not doing it, right?
Yeah,
So
when I mean the other team, I'm talking about the 2 practice teams. If you go up 5-on-5, the 5 with
yeah,
the ball, well, the 5 playing defense knows exactly what's
of
coming. So
course.
I don't go by practice. I've never gone by practice. Practice is necessary. And as Ryan said, they haven't had a lot of practices because of their schedule and because of their injuries. So that's not even an issue.
Well,
You know what maybe the biggest issue is? Let's just deal with reality, everyone. Maybe the biggest issue is this team's overrated. Maybe the biggest issue is we all made a mistake on this team. Maybe they're not as good as we think they are. I mean, after all, that's what you have the standings for. And guess what their point differential is after being 9 and 12? Their point differential is only 0.2. So it's basically even. That was the same story last year, although for much of last year it was in the red. That's a bad point differential. So I now have seen enough of this team. There's enough of a sample size. The team can't play at home. They're 4-7. They're not consistent. They haven't done anything defensively over the last few seasons that would make me optimistic that that's going to change. I mean, it's the same story every single year, with the exception, Ryno, I think you would agree, with the last 6 weeks of last season when their defense was much better because they didn't have Herter and they didn't have Monk, and they did play a different style with different personnel.
Right.
And I'll tell you this, we can talk all we want about DeMar DeRozan. You know who the Kings really miss, and we don't talk about him enough, is the guy that's on Toronto, Davion Mitchell. He provided this team exactly what they needed off the bench. And you thought you had that guy in Devin Carter. You thought you had that guy in the draft, and he's hurt. So that's a void too on this team. Would you not agree?
I just refused. I refuse to think that we don't have the talent because we got a lot of good players on this team. I mean, like you said, we got the 3-time All-Star.
Well, then it's coaching.
So,
then,
yeah.
Zach, let me ask you
I
this:
think so.
How do the Kings beat another team tonight? They won the paint 52-28. 52-28. So, how do the Kings win? It's not the 3-ball. It's not the paint. What's it going to be going forward?
Honestly, it's guarding the perimeter. I mean, and they're just shooting way too many easy shots. I mean, like I was saying earlier, I just that switch that Chris Paul got about I don't know how many possessions, 15 I don't know what it was, but you guys saw it every single play. They did it. They got the switch, and Wembanyama either gets doubled or he had a one-on-one easy shot, and it was, and they shoot 51%. So the strategy, Mike Brown, I got to keep blaming on him a little bit because he didn't make an adjustment for that the whole game. He needs to make an adjustment for that because it was just way too easy. Victor shot 11 from 17. Dude missed 6 shots. I mean, he was a plus 19 in the game. He did not make an adjustment in the fourth or third quarter where he was
Yeah,
just.
guess what? Your next 3 games are Houston, who's playing as well as any team in the West, Memphis, who's playing as well as any team in the West, and then against the Spurs, who are now, by the way, 2-0 against you. So chew on that for a while. With a 9-12, if you lose all 3 of these games, you're done. I'm sorry, you're done. You better figure out. Oh, I said this after the Portland game. You need to go 3-1 on this stretch because you put yourself in a hole. And while you're losing, the other teams in the West are winning.
Yeah.
So now you're 2 games back in the loss column of the 11th place Timberwolves. You're in 12th, and your schedule is daunting. So, like, where's the silver lining here? I don't see one at all. I really don't.
Hey, Zach, appreciate the call, brother. We got a ton of people online that want to digest this one with us. So thanks for kicking us off.
Take care, guys.
Ryno, before we get to some phone calls, I just want to tell everyone about New Work Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. New Work is great. They're available around the clock, 24/7 for all of your plumbing needs.
Oh, we lost Napes. For all of your plumbing needs and repairs, New Works. They've got a fix for you. That's right. Selfserviceplumbing.com. Give them a call right there on that number, 916-713-1010. And Sunrise Landing in Calusa. Grant, you there? Napes, we got you? All right, we're going to let Napes do his read as he drops off. We're going to get him hooked up back again. Miss Anita, welcome on tonight as Napes comes back on the screen.
Hey, fellas, how's it going there?
Hi there.
Hey, yeah. So Ryan, I'm going to start with this, and Grant, you brought it up at the end of the with the last caller. Ryan, remember when we had lunch last year?
I do.
We were sitting at the table, and who did I say we were going to regret if we didn't keep him on the team?
Mr. Davion Mitchell.
Mr. Davion Mitchell. I said it's a big mistake. I said because of his on-ball defense, and because I really think the kid has a high IQ. I know we were talking about, he doesn't shoot well. Is Keon shooting any better? No.
Yes.
Can Keon stay in front of his guy?
No.
Did he make 2 turnovers at the end of the third quarter?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
When Davion gets the ball in transition, he knows what to do. Keon is not that guy. And his defense is decent, but it is not elite. I've never thought it was elite, especially compared to Davion. Stronger. And Keon gets bullied around there. I think he's good at getting, deflections and kind of being a pest, but on-ball defense, no. And I told you we would regret it if we didn't keep Davion. Everybody's Keon. And I kept saying, no, you guys, you got to really look deeper at this. And I'm not saying Keon can't get there, but I just thought that was a big mistake. And now Grant mentioned it.
Well,
Anita.
it is what it is. He's not on the Kings anymore, and the players on the Kings have to figure it out before it's too late. And I'm going to tell you that they need to figure it out before it's too late, because if you lose these next 3 games, the Kings aren't going to be favored in any of these games, then you're probably done for the year. You're not climbing out of the hole in the West. I'm sorry. You're just not with the schedule that I just said. When you haven't played Boston, you haven't played Cleveland. Oh, I don't have to go over it again. You get the point. Your season is teetering on the brink right now. It just is. I know it's December 1st. I get that.
It's crazy.
I'm well aware of what the date is. Okay. But I'm also, or whatever the hell the date is, I'm well aware though of that it's not early anymore. You're now at the quarter pole. You've played 1 quarter of the season and you are in 12th place and you're 3 games under 500. You can't win at home and you can't play defense. Why do I think that's going to change when the Rockets come to town? Why do I think that's going to change when they play at Memphis? Why do I think that's going to change when they play the Spurs the next night? I don't. Why would it change? They are what they are right now.
No, and it's not going to change until it does change. And we can't predict that. We have not seen any evidence that it will change anytime soon. And when you think about the games they've won, it's when we've shot lights out from 3.
Yep.
Very
So we
true.
can keep pace with other teams. But we certainly have. It's not because we guarded the three well. We've had spurts of guarding the three well. I should say the Kings. Put myself in that scenario, but they have had spurts of guarding the three. Very few and far and in between. I don't know what it is. Why would you choose to give up threes and stop twos? So I just don't see how that math works. We're gonna stop a two, but give up, all of these threes, and I think the defensive strategy, like you said, 20 games in, you got to figure something else out because whoever came
Yep.
up with the defensive strategy, it's flawed.
It's
And
terrible.
it needs to change.
And the Mavericks won tonight. The Lakers won tonight. The Rockets won tonight. Okay. The Grizzlies won tonight. Hello. The Clippers are leading the Nuggets. So, I mean, that doesn't really, but I mean, think about that. Think about all the teams in front of you. All of them won tonight.
Yeah.
And
All
you,
of
and
them.
yeah, and you're
Except
just
for
trying to
Oklahoma
climb
City, and
into
you're not
what, that
catching them.
10th spot? Yeah. I mean, how are you going to get to that 10th spot? And
Well,
and who cares? That's not exciting to me. Oh, we got the 10th spot.
No,
Why
it's
am I
At
embarrassing.
excited about
best,
that?
you have a tiebreaker with the Spurs now. If you win both of the games, do it play them
Right.
4 times or 3 times?
I have to look at the schedule. I don't know if it's 3 or 4 this year.
Yeah,
I know
well, the
Oklahoma
Spurs,
City, they're playing 3 times.
But
Spurs
I agree
already
with
got you
everything you've
twice.
been saying, guys. I'm going to get off and let somebody else get in on the convo and just appreciate your takes on everything.
Thank
Appreciate
you very much,
Anita.
Anita. All right, I'm going to try to tell you now about Sunrise Landing, the newest residential community in Calusa. And if you go to CalusaSunrise.com, you can get all the information on this beautiful development in Calusa. Remember, no Mellorews, no homeowners, and it's adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. Just go to CalusaSunrise.com and check out Sunrise Landing. Good access to I-5, Highway 45, Highway 20. That is Sunrise Landing in Calusa. I think Anita makes some very solid points there. I guess I always look at this. When I see a trend, and I think we have seen a trend all season, and the trend being that the Kings' perimeter defense is an issue.
Okay, it's not just this season. It's been almost every season.
Correct. But here's the difference between the past seasons and this season. The previous Kings teams during this trend could fill up the scoreboard from 3.
Yep.
They could kind of negate it. They're like, well, we can't stop you, but you can't stop us. Okay, I'm talking about from 3. That's not the issue now with this team. Look at their 3-point attempts and makes. So that is dropped, but their defense on the perimeter is still terrible. So it's not like a give and take anymore. It's like, oh, wow. Okay, we can't make threes, which we have been able to do in the past, and we still can't stop threes. That's a bad combination, Ryan.
And Grant, what about free throws? They're up 18.4% this year.
Yeah, and that's huge, Ryno.
That's massive. That's back to 22-23 numbers because they were down 18% last year.
And that's because of DeMar DeRozan.
100%. And to Anita's credit, she has no way of knowing this. That was the exact scout that Jerry Reynolds gave on Keon Ellis at the end of last season. She said that he is a better help defender. He's good at being pesky, but he does not have the on-the-ball defense that Davion Mitchell has. So Anita knocked it out of the damn park. We want to keep hearing from you. We've got a long line of calls. Jay, Jason, Gee, you're all up next after Dirk. Dirk, welcome in.
Hey, guys. I'm
Hey there.
already in the headspace that we've overvalued the talent. I've kind of felt that way for a while now, that we're underdogs again. I kind of like that position of being an underdog. I know that that's not going to sit well with a lot of people. How did you think Isaac Jones played tonight? Aside from those 3 fouls on Wemby in the 4th, how do you guys feel Isaac Jones is playing?
I like what I've seen from him, but he is what he is. I mean, if we're talking about him playing a lot of minutes, your team's not very good, and that's no disrespect to Jones. I actually like what he's provided the last couple of games. I've been pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, Dirk, I like the energy. I think the mistakes that he's made, like dropping guys with grenades at the end of the shot clock and scrambling, that's going to be expected with somebody that's going back and forth between the G League. But energy and around the rim's been fine to me.
Yeah. And I have to side with Zach a little bit too. One thing we might need to look at is Sabonis on the closeout on the 3 as an area of criticism. I was calling for him to double Wemby when Chris Paul was going to hit that three, shoot the three. I was just waiting for that to happen, but he didn't. And yet, Chris Paul didn't even move and still got the three off. So I'm a bit concerned that, maybe this is the extent this team can go with him at that position. And just before any sort of backlash on that thought, there's a reason Indiana got off of him. He has his limitations. He's a great player. All right. It's just at the position he plays, it's tough. I don't have a solution. I don't feel like there's one coming either. So this team just has to figure it out internally, because there's no magic cure. There's no one coming off of, injured reserve that's going to make that change. So I don't know. What do you, we're an underdog. Go for the play.
Well, by the time Carter comes back and is healthy, this team may be so far out of it, it really doesn't even matter. And you don't even have to rush him back.
Well, let's hope that there's still a chance, because I don't know, the big three, they can clearly score. It's just, man, if they
Everyone in the league can
three
score.
to any degree, we would be all right.
NBA, all players can score. If you can't stop the other team, it doesn't really matter.
Last thought, Wemby's a cheat code. I mean, that guy is unbelievable how he's impacting the game. But anyway.
All right, thanks, Dirk. The Kings last year were 15th at limiting three-point attempts in the NBA. The playoff year, they were 9th. This year, they are 26th. So it goes more towards what a lot of the callers have been saying, and you've been saying as well. Jason, welcome in tonight. You're on with Grant and Ryno.
I love you.
Guy, welcome up. How you doing?
How are you guys? Can you hear me? Yes, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, we got you.
All right, I just want to make a couple of quick points. Now, this game, in my opinion, was 100% on coaching. And the reason why is you don't constantly switch guards onto the tallest player in the NBA. Even a blind man can see it. It was unbelievable, infuriating. And I think it's officially time for Mike Brown to go, because that's just an amateur mistake, in my opinion. Okay, just constantly switching guards onto a guy that's 10 foot tall. Anyways, and another point I wanted to make is I agree with the guru caller before, Zach. Sabonis is a liability on defense in the sense that teams target him because of his lack of rim protection. I want to use Houston Rockets as an example. Şengün is a similar player to Sabonis, yeah? What did they do? They surrounded him with length, size, athleticism, good defenders to cover Şengün's lack of defense. Why didn't Monty think of doing the same thing instead of getting undersized guards? I just want to get your opinions on that.
I can't answer that. I only know that you can speculate all you want on why they did something and why they didn't. And I understand the point you're trying to make, but it is what it is. And that's not going to change before you play Houston. And, I would also say this, and I'm not saying fire Mike Brown, but what I am saying is you also forgot to mention Houston is supremely coached by Ime Udoka, supremely coached.
That's right. That's true. I agree with you, Grant. But what I'm trying to say is they surrounded Şengün's faults with size, athleticism, and defense. What did Monty McNair do? Jordan McLaughlin, who I'm 6'2", I'm taller than him.
Well,
come on.
Remember that? Is it G or Gee? I want to say
G.
it right. G. All right. So G, remember this. It wasn't a team built around Sabonis. That trade was to make Fox better and the team better. So theoretically, Fox is the guy they were building around, but your point is very well taken.
Well, but it did make Fox better.
The offense runs through Sabonis, though. Everything runs through him, right? He's the hub. And he's constantly been turning the ball over this year. He's a $40 million a year player, right? $40 million a year player needs to win you games, 35 points, 20 rebounds. But he doesn't do that. Unfortunately, he's not capable of doing that. Now, if you rely on Fox all the time, and I blame Fox too, he's a bit nonchalant. He's a bit lackadaisical. I don't think he's a supermax player because he's too inconsistent, unfortunately. But yeah, that's the issue in my opinion. And to me, after watching Mike Brown's coaching in the last quarter tonight, he's got to go. 100%, he's got to go. That was an amateur
Well,
coaching.
they just signed a new contract this past summer, which hasn't even kicked in yet. So it would be shocking to me if they let him go. And for the record, I was critical of that move all summer, and I said that there was no need for it, that it was stupid, and that there was absolutely no reason to extend Mike Brown. I was absurd. He had been here 2 years, and he's coming off a year where they didn't make the playoffs. You don't extend a coach who is coming off a season when he didn't make the playoffs. And they did. And again, I'm not saying fire Mike Brown, but what I am saying is because of the new contract and because Vivek Ranadive has made mistake after mistake after mistake in terms of contracts and has eaten so much money, I don't see him eating this without one more season for Mike Brown. I would be very surprised.
I agree with you. I wouldn't have given him an extension either.
There was no reason to. There was no reason to.
Well, guys, he
ran a really good campaign on social media, a lot of PR, where the Sacramento media was putting pressure on the organization. I felt that was one of the reasons they extended his contract.
Ryan, what were you going to say, buddy?
Well, if we really want to go a layer deeper, they shouldn't have extended Sabonis the summer after the playoff run.
Correct.
That money could have been used somewhere else.
Correct.
To make this team
anyway,
better.
Guys, thanks for that. I don't want to hold you up. Let other people talk. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, mate. All the way in Australia. Knocking it down.
Mate.
Love it.
I love that when they get, all right, mate.
All right, mate. To the Bobby. Oh, man. Jay, welcome in tonight.
How you guys doing?
Hey, Jay. How's your championship team looking?
It's looking as good as your championship team.
Oh, boy. They're not that bad. Trust me. They're not that bad, Jay. Let's not get carried away, okay?
But, no, a couple things. Yeah, I told you guys, I agree with a couple things that it was G that he said about, the $40 million player thing. I've talked about that. I was more for the Mike Brown extension, being that he's only the second coach here with a winning record in Sacramento. So that was, when you have that, that's a solid foundation. But I understand Grant's reasons as well too. Go ahead and read the super chat. Get to support the donators. So,
thank you.
Yeah, Donald, really appreciate it. Super chat $5 going back into the channel. The Kings starters outscored the Spurs starters by 29. Doesn't just exploit the bench deficiencies. Yes, it does. Good stat by you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But that's besides the point. Tonight, let's talk about tonight. So when I was waiting in the waiting room to join your podcast, I get a ESPN notification of Mark Jones and the words they said at the last play where we didn't have a timeout and it looked like Wembanyama had his arm around Sabonis's neck. This is a travesty. That's the words he said.
He said what?
He said this is a travesty that, they didn't see that call or whatever. That was a huge call. No, the travesty was being up by 17 points and not being able to finish in the fourth quarter. You shouldn't even been in this position to begin with. Clearly.
Mark Jones looking in the mirror when he said that?
Right?
Well, that's my point is like, yeah, that's not who cares? And if you really want to get into it and you have your purple lenses on, I didn't. Sabonis hooked Wemby's arm, so it's really a no call. It's going to be a correct no call. You'll see it on the 2-minute report. They both fouled each other.
But let's say that you're in that situation. It's a 3-point game, correct?
Yeah.
There's 5 point. There's how many seconds are left?
Yeah, like give or take 5 seconds.
5.3.
So you'd have to make the first, intentionally miss the second, hopefully you get an offensive rebound and have a miracle. You're still probably not going to win the game.
Yeah, and without that timeout on that play, you can't advance the ball.
If you're in the bonus, that would have been a loose ball foul.
Okay? Yeah.
So the loose ball foul, if you're in the bonus, would send you to the line, but you're still down 3.
And right, that makes sense too.
Guys, I just can't ignore this stretch where Keon turned the ball over. He made a stupid foul. He turned the ball over. And then in the first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, the Spurs shot 10 free throws that absolutely killed the Kings' flow. They had 10 free throws coming into that quarter, 2 in the third.
Fouls was definitely a huge part of that. And I'm glad. Let's talk about the fourth quarter, because that's where we lost this game. You're a fourth quarter 5. You know who it is. Monk, Fox, Sabonis, DeRozan, and Keegan. Keegan had 3 shot attempts in the fourth quarter. Sabonis had 4 shot attempts in the fourth quarter. Fox had 4 shot attempts in the fourth quarter. Sabonis had 4 shot attempts in the fourth quarter. DeRozan had 8 shot attempts in the fourth quarter. Or did I? Oh, and then Monk had 1. Monk had 1, that 3 he made. So with 7 minutes left, you have in your final 5 in the game, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this guy DeRozan shot the ball at least 8 times, which just so happened to be I was right. You have a team here. You have guys who can shoot the 3. Monk is the best shooter right now on that floor. But I mean, you got guys who are streaky like Fox. He had a solid shooting night. You can't just put the ball in DeRozan's hands and have a dude go 8 times in a row. It's like you have a team. Get the ball moving. People know this is going to be an ISO. You're trying to hunt a mismatch and play tit for tat and trade 2s. No, you guys got to be able to make the defense make mistakes by having good ball rotation, and everybody has to be a threat on the court, not just DeRozan. That was a huge coaching thing with me, was because clearly that had to have been their offensive strategy. And then obviously the defensive strategy. We do know Jordi Fernandez was the head defensive coordinator, who's doing not too bad in Brooklyn. Almost actually got into a fight with one of the guys on another team. I don't know if you'll see that clip on ESPN.
Yeah, I did. He's doing a hell of a job with Brooklyn. Hell of a job.
Yep. So we have Luke Laux now. Okay, we're the worst. In my opinion, we're the worst defensive team. I've talked about this from the 3. You've said 25 right now. We could argue the last 5 are all terrible, so it doesn't really matter at that point. And to address the callers that were talking about the switches tonight, that was to protect Sabonis from getting his 6th foul. Clearly, any logical person is not just going to take the chance. Oh, you know what? Let Monk guard Wembanyama. No, that was on purpose. So because Victor is going to get a lot of calls, and you need Sabonis out there on the floor. So obviously it's not the best strategy, but you got to have your best guy. I mean, who's your backup center tonight? Isaac Jones?
Yeah. Well, here's
you're going to have him finish the game for you?
Jay, you're spot on. The bigger problem is this is not like a once in a while thing. Sabonis is fouled out at 3 games. And I can think of another handful where he's been in foul trouble by the third quarter.
Oh, yeah. Most of the time it is by the third quarter. The thing about that is that's not just all on Sabonis. If you're looking at the minutes he's playing, I mean, the longer you're in there, the higher of a chance you're going to get a foul call at some point. You understand that part? Totally. Like, yeah, it's like the longer you're in the swimming pool, the higher chance you have to drown type of thing. If you're only in there for a minute, you're probably not going to drown. If you're in there for 2 minutes, well, you can't swim. You might drown. But obviously that goes back on the coaching again. Our rotation, the bench, whatever. I liked the bench overall tonight. If you look at, okay, what did we get offensively from the bench? He had Isaac Jones with another good night for him. Jay Crowder, I was hoping he would give a little bit more, but he was serviceable. And by that, I mean, you can expect a solid 10 minutes out of him and, nothing more, nothing less. Someone that you can trust to take over for his role.
He's not going to make mistakes, but he's not really, at this point in his career, he is what he is. But
exactly.
Again, I'm going to go back to the big picture here, and I'm going to do my rant on this in a moment. But this is your season is teetering on the brink right now. It really is.
And you're like you said, Houston is no joke. They will run you off the floor. They will. They're young.
So will Memphis.
Memphis will too, and they have another 7'4" guy. So there's a lot of soul searching to do in this team, and I like you guys said, I think the players tonight did what they were supposed to do overall. I don't think we need to be I think it's more towards the coaching, not talking about firing the coaches.
Yeah,
but you got to address the elephant in the room. The worst 3-point. That's exactly how they came back from 17 points. They hit like a streak of 3 or 4 threes in a row.
Yep, they did 3 or 4 possessions. Yep, they had a turnover and 3 triples. Jay, thanks for the call. We got to get to a couple others.
Yeah, let me throw in my rant. And again, this rant is brought to you by EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined. David and Adam, over 4 decades of automotive experience. This is a long overdue new concept. What's great about it, folks, is, you will not have to go to a dealership. You won't have to deal with the pressures and sometimes the headaches that go along with that. And there is a lot of pressure that people experience when you're at an automobile dealership, really the second biggest purchase next to your home that you'll make in your life, maybe getting pushed into the F&I office. No, that doesn't happen at EDH Motors. You will take delivery at their auto lounge at the El Dorado Hills Town Center. They can do so many things for you, all right? And all you need to do is go to their website, edhmotors.com. That's edhmotors.com. You'll get all the information you need on this great new concept. EDH Motors, automotive reimagined. Again, edhmotors.com. Well, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but here's the reality of the situation. You're 9-12, and everyone in front of you won tonight. So you dropped the game on the field for all intents and purposes. You play Houston next. Then you go on the road and have a back-to-back against Memphis and a team that has already won 2 times against you, the San Antonio Spurs. Just for the record, the Spurs played the night before as well, but they're at home. So if you cannot beat Atlanta and you can't beat an improved Brooklyn team and you can't beat a bad Portland team, and then you come home knowing full well that you're behind the 8 ball and you score 42 points in the first quarter, but then you lose the second quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter, and you're now 3 games under 500, and you stink at home, awful at home at 4-7, and you play Houston, Memphis, and San Antonio coming up, why the hell would I think that all of a sudden you're going to get on a roll? You can't shoot threes well enough in this league to win. You can't play perimeter defense. You can't stop anybody. You can't stop the dribble drive. Your rotations don't make any sense whatsoever. And you're fading fast in the West. And you're about 1 week, and I said this last week, but I'm going to say it again as we turn the page on a new month. You're about 1 bad week away from being in a hole that's too big to climb out of. Because guess what? There are teams behind you, like the Pelicans, who are going to get all of their players back soon. And you play them 3 times in February. And I've talked about how you haven't played Boston. You haven't played Cleveland. You haven't played the Warriors. You haven't played Houston, right? You've only played once against Oklahoma City. The toughest part of your schedule is in front of you, not the rearview mirror. And here's something else. You're now 9-12, and you don't have a signature win. Phoenix isn't a signature win. Not in Phoenix without Kevin Durant, in my opinion. You have a chance to get a signature win in your next game. A win against Houston would be the first signature win of the year. How the hell are you going to beat Houston? How's that going to happen? Explain that to me. They're playing as well as any team in the NBA right now. What is it about the Kings that would make me optimistic that they're going to be able to beat Houston? Things are going from bad to worse. Bad to worse. And you can blame Mike Brown all you want. You can blame Monty McNair all you want. But it's not going to like you wake up in the morning, you're going to have a new coach or a new GM or a new starting this or a new starting that. This is what you have. This is what you have. Optimistic Kings fans? I'm not. How could you be? Can things change? Yeah, things can change. You know why? There are a lot of games left. But how are they going to change? How the hell are things going to change when you have the same mistakes, the same personnel, no perimeter defense, and I can go on and on? How's it going to change? Again, I'm not optimistic as we turn the page on the full holiday season in December. And that's my rant for tonight.
Not much you can argue with there. You improved the defense a little bit, but here's something that's definitely not changing, Grant. Bench tonight, 22 points. San Antonio, 45. That's going to be a constant.
Player started.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a constant.
Think that's going to be permanent, Ryan?
I got to chew on that for a minute, Napes. I got to chew on that because the entire way that I've looked at this team, I've got to rethink it. I just what you said there, I've got to reshift the way that I'm looking at this team.
Okay, what do you need to tell me what right now what's going through your mind? In what way do you need to reshape how you're looking at this?
You have to, well, we've talked about playing to your strengths. I thought the Kings did that a little bit more tonight, but you have to try to balance your combinations out. You're going to have to limit the amount of time that you have Monk outside of the start, that you have Monk, Sabonis, Keegan, DeMar, and Foxy on the court at the same time. You're going to have to find who plays best with a combination of 2 or 3 of them at a time, and you're going to have to try to balance it out, because at all times, I think you're going to have 3 of those guys on the floor.
Yeah, for 48 minutes.
For 48 minutes. So, well, I mean, you know what I'm saying. At any given time, 3 of your starting 5 probably need to be on the floor for this team to be playing well. Now, what you don't need for this team to be playing well is to come here. We are here all the time. We see almost 1,500 have checked in at some point tonight. So thank you very much.
Love it.
Not just pregame, not just postgame and halftime, although halftime we have Jerry Reynolds. But a lot of stuff during the week, like Grant, you have Sean Salisbury on Wednesdays.
Yeah, and I can't wait for that at 3 o'clock this week. And then tomorrow, I will be doing a show at 4 o'clock. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to going back to Sacramento and going to Bennett's. Can't wait, whether it is the Sacramento, Roseville, or the West Side Grill in Rockland. Bennett's Restaurants.com to make a reservation and more. Prime seafood and steak. Hope you got there for their weekend brunch earlier today. It is awesome. Their happy hours, sips and tastes from 2 to 6. It is a great gathering spot. Phenomenal food. Prime seafood and steak. Bennett's Restaurants.com. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a show tomorrow at 4 o'clock. I am looking forward to that. Get you ready for Monday Night Football. We're going to talk more about this, but we'll reflect on, boy, the Niners got their butts kicked tonight in Buffalo. So we'll go back and look at that game, and I'm looking forward to that. That's tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Love it. And then 2 o'clock, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, check into the King's Court. Yep. We're live right here on the channel. Would love to have you. It's a great show, not just Kings. We talk a little bit of everything. Love the community that's building around that as well. Grant, this guy's waited a long time.
Yes.
We're going to give him some runway because we know that he is upset, and he's all the way overseas. We bring in Baki.
Hey guys, I wish you a good evening.
Hi, Baki.
Hello. So, just give me a sec to turn this. Jokic's gonna lose. So, I don't want to talk about guarding the 3 and scoring the 3. I don't want to talk about Keon's defense. I don't want to talk about all those weaknesses that the Kings are about this season. But let's see what is going on the paint. So, you beat this team in all aspects of the game. Points in the paint are big difference. Second chance points as well. You won it in all categories, but you win the game when it matters. Not by the numbers, as we all know. So now only one question is in my head. We all know about Sabonis' problem or getting those stupid fouls, and I will never understand the guy for at least 3 fouls he's making per game. So if we already know the thing about Sabonis, plus you add the enormous size of Wemby, so tell me this: why you have Alex Len out of this game? I mean, Wemby is a talented kid, and he's rising a big time, no doubt about it. But he's still an experienced and what is the most important, light player. I can guard the guy if we speak about the strength. He will never push me down in the rim, never. So that's why I think that Alex Len was the crucial for this game. So the coach of the year win another special night of the billions. I don't know. I would like to hear from you. First of all, I don't know why Alex Len was out of the game completely. And if you have the game in the NBA of all 82 games, to have Alex Len playing the game, this is the one. Because whether he's good or not, whether he's scoring the points or playing good defense or not, this is the matchup for him, 100%. He's stronger than Wemby. He's quite sizable.
Okay, I'm gonna summarize it this way. If we're getting to a point in the season where we have to depend on Alex Len to win a game, then we got major problems.
Yeah. No, I don't think he should win the game. We should win the game by we were up by 14, 15, 20. I don't know, but I'm just saying about fourth quarter. They are losing the game all the time, switching. All the starters are switching, all the bench are switching. They don't know what to do. The players, the coach as well, how to guard Wemby. And Wemby took the game over and finished the game. Like, I mean, he's the brain and heart. Okay, he's maybe not the brain for this team. Maybe CP is the brain, but he's the heart. He's the one who is rising, and he's the one who. So Wemby won the game in the fourth quarter easily. He scored very easily, very
Well,
easy.
I think here's the problem. Alex Len, Wemby is mostly a perimeter player. So you don't want Alex Len on the perimeter. The problem of Sabonis getting switched off and having a guard on Wemby off of that is not having the guard on Wemby. If that's the matchup they're going after, you need to push Chris Paul out. You need to do something to get the ball out of Chris Paul's hands. That's where you cut that head off of the snake. You don't wait until they get the matchup they want. It's being a step ahead like the Kings were in the first half. And then in the second half,
I agree.
Step behind.
But we are talking about the most experienced player in the league. I mean, you can try to push CP out and to guard him, but he will do his job with the ball. So I wouldn't spend my time that much if finding how to push CP out of his play. But
what I'm saying is,
I only want to say that Wemby was.
I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't think Alex Len could defend Wembanyama if his life, his family's lives, and his neighbors' lives depended on it. That's my opinion.
The only way that I see Alex Len is if you're going to rough Wemby up and say, use your 6 fouls. Like, introduce him to the NBA, get him physical, because they would have done the same thing. They would have it would have been Wemby on a guard, and you would have had Alex Len on CP3. They would have done the same switch.
Yeah, but my point was only when he's playing back to the rim. When Wemby plays
let's move on. All right, let's say you're right and I'm wrong. I'm fine. I'll go. What else do you want to add, buddy? Because I always respect what you have to say.
Yeah, we want to hear it.
I don't know what to add. We had the lead. You had all the 3 guys with more than 20 points scored, and you lost the game. You have you won the game in the paint. You won the game in the second.
Lost the game, and you only won the first quarter. You lost the second quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter. So out of the 48 minutes, they outplayed you in 36 of the 48 minutes. They had a better score than you in the second, third, and fourth quarters.
Yeah, I know that, but I don't know. I see too many games we blew the lead every time. I know. I don't.
Yeah, it's because you can't play defense.
If
you can't stop anybody.
Can you somehow keep one single game? As you said earlier, can you tell us one game that you have? Okay, Utah was the game when you have coast to coast win, and that's all.
There's been one or two, but not much.
Yeah, that one out of 20 games.
Well,
easy.
all I can say is at least they pulled that one off in Minnesota, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a rough.
Because they were tired as hell.
Yeah. Baki, you have a good day, my friend.
Appreciate you, buddy.
Good night and goodbye.
Don't forget Kings Court tomorrow at 2, and then I will be with you at 4. Get you ready for Monday Night Football. We'll talk about this. And then, of course, we'll be with you for the Kings and the Rockets, the pregame, the halftime with Jerry, and the postgame. I don't have anything else to add. I'll give you the mic to close out the show, my friend.
Grant, it's been a fun.
I'm at a loss of words.
Yeah, I would not be speaking genuinely if I tried to pump anybody up right now. This is why we're Kings fans. This is why you're Kings fans. Better times are ahead.
To everyone else, thank you for joining us. And it's a new week. I don't know, but I do know I'll be with you tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Thanks for joining us. Take care. Stay healthy. Bye-bye now.